How is it going, everyone? It's K-Limited here, and today we are going to be talking about the original Mortal Kombat video game on the SEGA Genesis, one of the most legendary video games of all time, one of the most legendary video game series of all time. They're still making Mortal Kombat games to this day, and the last Mortal Kombat game I played, the last new one I played was Mortal Kombat 11, and honestly, it was still pretty fun. I still really enjoyed it, so they're still making good games, and this game is definitely dated compared to the newer stuff. If you've played only the newer Mortal Kombat games and then you go and play this game, you're probably going to struggle a little bit getting used to what this game plays like and what it looks like and everything. With that being said, I think that it is important to look at this game and recognize what this game is. This game is literally a piece of history. This is the game that started all of the Mortal Kombat series, the legendary series that everyone knows and loves today. It is the game that literally just set this kind of like gory fighting style on the map. It's, this game was known for its fatalities. It was known for being brutal. It was known for being controversial at the time because of all the blood and everything, which is so funny because the blood and gore doesn't even look realistic. But back in the day, this was a huge controversy. This game had a huge, it had a big controversial marketing campaign, and people were upset. A lot of parents were upset. If only they knew what we played today. But still, either way, I think that it is important to recognize that this game is definitely going to be dated because of the fact that it is literally the first Mortal Kombat video game. It came out in 1992, so it's been out for a long time, so of course it's going to feel dated. It's not going to feel as good as the new Mortal Kombat games, and I feel like if you compare this to the new Mortal Kombat games, you're definitely not going to enjoy this one as much. However, this game on its own, just playing it by itself, is still really fun. I still actually really enjoyed playing through this game, and I do think it is a fun game, even though it is difficult, and it definitely does not have, a lot of the nicer, newer features, a lot of the nicer movesets, a lot of the, new cool fatalities. It still has some decent moves, and it still has some cool fatalities and stuff like that, and I still do like the original characters that you have in this game, even though the roster was not that big. One of the things I do find so funny is that this game was known for its blood and gore. It was like one of the biggest selling points, which is so funny to think that something so simple was such a big selling point back in the day. But the funny thing is that you actually have to put in a code to even get the blood and gore. It doesn't just immediately pop up. You actually have to put in a code when you're starting up the game, and then that will unlock the more, mature version of the game. And then it's just really big blood splatters and stuff like that. There's some spike deaths too that you can see. I will say, there's some cool deaths and there's some cool fatalities and stuff like that, but it's just so funny to me that the main selling point of the game is actually kind of hidden behind a code. But they may have done that on purpose just to keep parents from freaking out whenever they picked up the game and they saw them, their kids playing it and they saw blood on the screen. They probably hid it on purpose just to keep kids from, playing the bloody version for other parents. So not a bad idea, actually. Not a bad marketing strategy, so I will give them that. You have 7 characters to play as. Each one has their own unique fatalities that they can do. Their moves are all pretty similar. I think that they actually could have definitely used some moves that were different from one another because they really do feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over again with every character. So, I feel like they could have done better with that. They do have ranged attacks, and the ranged attacks are also different. But, yeah, their actual fighting moves are not that exciting, I will be honest. But you have 7 different characters, and you play through this arcade mode, which is it's basically a tournament you play through, and you try to defeat as many different characters as you can in one sitting. It starts off as just 1v1 fights, and then it will escalate into something called endurance fights, and endurance fights are not very fun, if I'm being honest. Endurance fights are basically where you still have your one character, and you have to fight 2 different characters, and basically you'll knock one out, and then once you knock one out, a second character will pop up. So it definitely is more difficult. It's definitely a bigger pain in the butt, and it definitely handicaps you on purpose. So you also have 2 boss fights. You have Goro, and I think Goro is actually the coolest out of all of the bosses. I really liked fighting him, even though I will say he definitely has some overpower abilities that are kind of annoying. I don't like that he's able to grapple you and just start, hitting your chest and trying to knock you out. I don't really like that, but still, I still enjoyed fighting him. I think that he's actually probably the coolest looking character in the game. And then there's Shang Tsung, and Shang Tsung is he's okay. Honestly, I thought he was a lot easier than Goro, so I don't really know. But I think Goro's a lot cooler. I think he's a cooler sub-boss, so I liked him a lot. And I do wish that you could play as him, but I don't think you could actually play as him in this game. So that kind of stinks. But still, at least you do have the option to play against him, and he is a really cool character to fight against. You have a bunch of different stages. The stage designs, I actually think, look pretty good for the most part. I didn't really have any issues with the stage design or the music or anything. In fact, I know some people don't like the sound design of this game on the Genesis, but I don't really have too much of a problem with it. And they may be dumbed down compared to the arcades, but that being said, I've never played the arcades, so I have no idea what to expect. So the sound was fine to me. I didn't really have any sort of issue with any of the sound quality of it or anything like that. I do like the FMV style characters. I've always liked that, just because to me that is very nostalgic to see. It's very cool to see, these real life actors portraying these characters. I just have always loved that. So seeing that, I definitely still like that, and I think that's really cool. The actual controls, they are a bit hit or miss. They're not perfect. The inputs don't always do what you want them to do, especially when you're trying to do fatalities. You can put in the combo for the fatalities completely correct, and it will just ignore it. So it's not perfect when it comes to that. That is definitely an issue. It does have some odd mini-games that pop up. They're like strength test mini-games where you have to like mash a couple buttons really fast and then press the start button, and then you'll break through like a pile of wood or a pile of bricks and stuff like that. So that's kind of interesting. I don't really mind the mini games too much. Those are okay. They basically just help you boost up your arcade score a little bit, so that's not too bad. But overall, there's really just the main game mode that you're going to be playing through on this, and I do enjoy it. I think it's something that you're not going to probably play a whole lot of these days with all the other Mortal Kombat games. At least it's not something that I go back and constantly play, but like once a year I put this game in and I'll just play it for a few hours at a time and, just try to go through it and stuff like that, because I do enjoy this game. It's definitely dated compared to the current versions of Mortal Kombat, obviously. I feel like the 2000s Mortal Kombat is really where the series got really, really good. But I still like to go back and play this one every now and then and just enjoy the style of it and just enjoy these full motion video characters and just enjoy this way different style of fighting games than what we have these days. So it's definitely something that is a relic of the past. It's something you don't see anymore, but I do still enjoy it, and I kind of wish that we would still get some more arcade games like this, because I still love the idea of actors portraying the characters and being able to control those characters. I do think that's still fun, and even though the buttons aren't as responsive as they could be, they're still fun to be had here. I still enjoyed the fighting, and I still enjoyed finding ways to beat the other characters. For me, I found the best way to attack the other characters was usually jumping attacks. I think I got pretty decent at jumping attacks in this game, and that's how I got, okay with the characters. I'm not going to say good, but that's how I got okay with the characters I would play as. And I will say, if you are struggling, there is difficulty settings as well, so you can set this difficulty to, a few different options. So if you want to have a little bit of an easier experience, not a completely easy experience, because this game's still going to kick your butt, but if you do want to lower the difficulty, you can do that. Overall, I still do enjoy the original Mortal Kombat game, even though it definitely is not as good as the ones that are currently out in today, the other ones that you play, all the other options and stuff. But I still think that it is a fun game, and it's definitely something that I enjoy going back once a year and just playing and just, enjoying the relic of what this game is, enjoying, the history of this game and just what this game has accomplished, because this game has accomplished just making a massive, just gigantic, popular franchise, and if it wasn't for this game, the Mortal Kombat that we know today wouldn't even exist. So I'm definitely very thankful for this game, and I think that this is still a pretty fun game, just not the best Mortal Kombat game if you look at every other Mortal Kombat that's out. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe button down below, and I'll talk to you in the next video. We'll start covering more of the Mortal Kombat games in the future. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.